Welcome to Weird Faith. We are so glad to be with you. I'm Phil.
I'm Scott.
And I'm Josh.
And we are here to talk a little weird with you. We're excited to have each and every one of you watching with us. Hopefully you're sharing and commenting. We love reading your comments. And we're going to go ahead and read some of those right now. The first one is from none other than my wife, Tori Wayman. And
what a weirdo.
Yeah. She said that the last podcast was her favorite.
Interesting that you talked about your kid the entire time and you hosted.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm a little biased there.
Nepotism.
She knows what she likes. But underneath that, also Ryan Sigmund said his favorite episode was the Disney Princess episode.
My man.
Yeah, he thought that it was funny to watch three grown men talk about Disney princesses.
Yeah. You know what? Just for that, though, maybe the three of us and Sigmund, we should have a Disney movie night.
Yeah,
let's do it. You tell us your favorite one, we'll make it happen.
Like the cool thing about that too is like as long as we do this, we're gonna have some random topics, things we don't know about.
Absolutely.
The three of us genuinely love Disney movies. Like that hit close to home.
And I need to say this: we need to confess something. We need to confess this. We recorded that one multiple times.
Oh yeah.
And on the final time that you all saw, if you watch it closely, I get really mad at Josh when he says Princess Leia.
Because Princess Leia in the draft.
The first three takes, we recorded that one 4 times. The first 3 times I said Leia.
Yeah.
And then you stole that one. And so you see my natural reaction where I'm trying really hard not to hurt him in that moment.
You should have taken her in the first round. I knew where to value her.
That's right.
You were leaving Leia for last. I'm not going to let you do that.
Well, that's the thing that we love so much about this is we want this to be fresh. And even if we do have to do it more than once, we're going to change it up because we love kind of needling each other and
it's fun.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, tripping you. So here's another one from Jessica Wagner about the last podcast. She says she has the same problem as I do where she forgets randomly what day things are or just gets something in her mind that it's on a certain day when that's completely wrong. She ended up telling a sub to come back tomorrow when she really did need that sub that day for a doctor's appointment. Nesha also said she's got a lot of those type of little brain farts, I guess they call them. I don't know. I never say that. I like to avoid that, but let's come up with a better word for that. And then
brain toot.
That's not any better. That's not
more
any
polite.
better.
Brain flatulence.
Yeah. There we go.
Where it just shorts out, right? And you get all mixed up. The funny thing is that same week that podcast aired, I did it again.
You did.
There was a annual meeting or training for the West Virginia Baptist Convention I was supposed to teach at, but I had put it on March 4th instead of February 4th. And for the one time that I ever remember in all of history, like February's days are exactly the same as March's days.
Yes.
And normally, it would be kind of rotate. It wouldn't be the 4th on March. So anyhow, I messed it all up. And I thought I had a month to prepare for this thing. But Scott helped me out and said, hey, are you ready on Tuesday or Wednesday? And I said, no, what are you talking about? I'm ready for what? And so we made it happen, and it turned out great. But it happened again. Y'all pray for me. I'm losing my mind.
That's why he hired me. That's
right.
That's all. That's the only reason why I'm here.
That's it.
The best part about it is Phil reminds me everything. And like, so he's helped me to become more organized because I naturally am the same way. So I have a big calendar on my desk. I put things in my phone. I write things on sticky notes. So like I write every event down in 3 different spots because I'm so prone to those.
You don't want
mistakes.
me to say, you forgot.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. Well, another one of our weirdos or fans, he's actually been there since the very beginning. And fun fact, there is an aired episode of Weird Faith. It's actually our very first one. We'll call it the pilot, the unaired pilot. We sent it to Brandon Reinhardt because he has, experience watching a lot of podcasts, listening to a lot of podcasts. We've, valued his expertise. It was terrible, right? We just didn't come across as natural.
Right.
No.
So we redid it and we came up with the Bears and Sharks. And we talked about the exact same thing. It just wasn't very good.
I think I got the feedback that I was using my preacher voice.
He was.
And Scott was
I was just staring.
Board.
None of us were really expressive at all. Phil's funniest joke in the whole thing, he told it, me and Scott were just like, Okay.
It was so
Cool.
awkward.
Yeah. Is it my turn to
If
talk
you like
now?
cringe comedy, it really you would have loved.
We should
it.
drop it one day.
One day.
Just ask you
our
guys.
How about
hey,
this?
Roast
100th
us.
episode.
When
It's
we-
a weird faith roast.
If we hit our 100th episode, or maybe when we hit 200 subscribers,
Yeah.
we'll drop that one and let you all torment us. Or maybe you pay Brandon Reinhardt. I think he still has a copy of it.
Sure.
Possibly.
Yeah, we had no, delusions of grandeur that this
Nah.
would even, we would even get this many
Yeah.
people watching it. So,
no.
And you would have seen why
After that one.
first one.
So I texted him the last night. I was like, "Hey, we're recording episode 5 tomorrow. We need a topic. I'm hosting and I'm struggling here. I've had a few suggestions. You guys sent some amazing suggestions, but sometimes wrapping your mind around
Right.
how can I tie that into a devotional thought." So he sent me one, even some weird facts about space. And so today we're going to talk about space. And another one of our weirdos, Josh, you sent him a message this morning. Tell us a little bit about that. What you had Ron do.
Oh, Ron. I thought you were talking about Brandon.
Brandon, no,
It's like,
Ron.
So we had Ron, who is one of our biggest weirdos. He's a Photoshop king. So he's got this picture of us. This is what it looks like if me,
Well, maybe.
Phil, and Scott would have all joined
If I can actually get on the screen there.
NASA. Okay.
There it
There we
is.
go. There we go. Look at those handsome astronauts.
I think Ron added some extra chins to me. Just to,
Well, my hair looks blonde. I look
It
like
does.
I'm in Top Gun or something. I
Or
just
a
got
boy
out
band.
of
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on
Wow.
there. So
oh, hey, before we go on, too, I wanted to highlight Samantha Audia and her
Yeah.
two girls.
big shout out
Watching
there.
it as a family the other night, put a picture up. It was awesome. We love to see you not just comment on it, but show us where you watch it from. Show us who you're watching it with. And we love this to be a community thing.
Yeah, so I'm excited about the idea of space. I've been intrigued by it for a long time. I love just the idea of it, the mystery of space. I'm not one of those people out there thinking there's something out there and we're going to find it one day. I will admit that. But just the mystery of it all captivates my imagination.
You're close to
amazing.
it is part of it.
What do you mean?
you're so tall.
Like, what are you talking
How's
about?
the weather up
How's
there?
the weather up there?
That's the stratosphere.
But if you think about even humanity, they've been intrigued by it from the very beginning. I mean, think about just the innovative idea of using the stars to guide themselves if they're on long journeys back before Waze and Google Maps. Why are you using Google Maps? Use Waze. It's my opinion. Hot take. Or think about even the other people who determined, hey, we revolve around the sun. The world does not revolve around me. Sometimes it revolves around Josh. We'll admit that.
Just Scott's world.
Just my world.
Absolutely.
Not even Candace's, just Scott's.
Probably more so Scott.
But it was only like 60 years ago. So our parents were children when mankind was landing on the moon for the very first time. That's kind of mind blowing to think about.
Yeah.
And then think about how far we've come. So when we were kids, I know I asked you earlier, you were born the year before it would have been the Challenger explosion.
Right.
Right. So, and then we think about when, like, I was in third grade, I think it was 99 is when the Discovery shuttle went up, and that was John Glenn. I remember watching that as a classroom at Worthington Elementary.
Right.
If it was third grade, I think that's Mrs. Rutherford. Otherwise, I don't really remember when it was.
Shout out.
Shout out. But then also, I remember also in 2003, which is when the Columbia shuttle exploded. And I remember watching that and also was watching in the horror of that. You don't remember that one?
I know it, but that it was in 2003 just seems like,
Oh, like
Seems
20 years ago.
More recent than
yeah.
But if you think
it
about it, though,
actually
like
is.
that moment, also with the the economy was kind of like upside down at that moment. The shuttle program just kind of stopped. Like that was the last space shuttle that we had.
for good reason, right? I mean,
It was the safety,
disasters, and we don't even.
how much it cost.
Who knows if we even landed on the moon before that?
I'll stop.
It was Arizona.
Drop your favorite conspiracy video. Don't do that.
There's plenty of content out there.
We don't need to add
That
that to
was
it.
footage in another wonder, the Grand Canyon.
But even think about this, the imagination that people have had over the years. They created Star Trek, Star Wars, 2001 Space Odyssey, like all these amazing Lost in Space, all these amazing movies over the years. People have been intrigued by it for a long time. And recently with SpaceX, Blue Origin, Boeing,
Virgin.
Virgin, we're more imaginative again. I think we have this idea of getting to Mars, which I don't really know why.
Matt Damon did it.
Matt Damon did it. He even came home.
Yeah.
That was a great movie. Just gonna throw that out there.
That was a good one.
Looked terrible though. I don't.
It looked awful. I don't want to eat potatoes all day long either. Like that was.
Yeah, no, I'm not
No.
still dreaming of going. Matt Damon did it. It was not great.
You're just dreaming of Matt Damon.
I'm just mad. Yeah.
So with all that mystery, all the mystery of outer space, I want to hear some fun facts about space. But before we do that, Josh has a special fact that leads into something special we have for today.
I do, and I'm really pumped about these facts. When I was a kid, I was convinced that I was going to do something with astrology one day, whether that was study space or be an astronaut.
Wait,
I was fascinated by it, but
It's definitely astronomy, right?
What did I say?
Astrology.
Astrology. I can see that too.
Astronomy. I was going to come up with my own study.
This is what would have happened.
Yeah.
You'd have been an amazing astronaut.
Man, thank God I'm not.
He was looking at his tarot cards, and then you could see that he was going to be into astronomy.
Astronomy. Yes. So, anyway, we like
need
to
a ping pong ball to throw at.
See, I know, yeah. We like to make fun of people who say things like, I gave up my future NFL career to go into ministry. So I gave up a career in astronomy to become a pastor and work here at Clarksburg Baptist Church.
Amen.
So my sacrifice.
You're so humble.
I know, yeah.
Wow.
But no, so we're going to present the Weird Award winner from last week here in just a second, but we're going to start with a fact that kind of leads to that. So one of the trippiest and strangest things about space is that there is no sound. Right? We can hear sounds because of vibrations that they make, and those vibrations have to travel through a medium like air or water or things like that. There's no air in space.
You know all about mediums as an astrologer.
my astrology knowledge. Is that a word? Why do I think no?
No, astrology is like the Pisces and all
Study
that.
of stars.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right.
So I was close.
It's when you like.
It all had to do with space, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah,
Just
astronomy.
keep going. You sound smart up until you said that, so keep going.
I wonder if any of our weirdos would have caught that if you didn't.
Probably not.
I'm glad you caught
I kept
me.
going. I just kept going with you because you were captivating me
Thank
with your
you.
enthusiasm.
Yeah, good.
I said my world revolves around you sometimes.
Hey, we all make mistakes sometimes.
That's right.
Right.
Amen.
But there are no sounds in space because there's no air, there's no water, nothing like that. So, with that fact being said, we're gonna present our Weird Award winner. I'm so happy to be able to present this
streak is
award
over.
to somebody else because 2 episodes ago I had my arm strapped to the chair. Last episode I had about 15 ping pong balls thrown at my face.
It's your fault.
But the Weird Award winner today goes to Phil Wayman.
Wait. We just got some votes in, and it's Scott.
No, it was. I like your enthusiasm, but
Hey,
give
speaking
Phil
of
a
that,
round of applause.
I'm tired of this. Vote for Scott next week.
Seriously, this is twice for Phil and
this is
twice for
getting
me.
offensive.
So
Right.
is Scott really not that weird? We like to think this is actually a popularity thing,
Right.
and it's kind of going
Absolutely.
back
The
between
whole-
me and Phil.
Like the NFL, this whole thing is rigged. That's what
Yeah.
it is.
It's in my
I get the script every episode. By the way, this is airing after the Super Bowl. We saw the script. It turned out exactly how it was scripted. So,
I almost wore
congratulations to the winner.
I almost wore my Eagle stuff, and then I was like, if this comes out after, I'm gonna feel so dumb.
Right.
well.
Yeah, I
Go
think
Birds.
it's no coincidence that Scott runs the social media for this thing, and I think he
Deletes
might
comments.
be deleting comments.
I'm
where
not.
He's talking.
So we gotta
we'll see.
flood it with votes for Scott
Yes.
this next time.
Yeah, Scott, but he's got to live up to it. He's got to be weird today.
So what's the
But-
punishment? Today?
Yes, so you can't hear anything in space, so we're going to punish Phil today. He's not going to be able to hear anything that Scott or myself say as
Over
we
the
go
next
through
few minutes.
Over the next few minutes while we go through our weird facts and while he's sharing his weird facts. So we have some headphones we're going to give Phil here.
This is gonna be relaxed.
And we wanted to share another space. Started to say astrology, then astronomy. I'm going to go to space.
Just keep saying space.
Another space conspiracy that while you can't hear most sounds in space, if you went to space, the one thing that you can hear on repeat over and over is the soundtrack to Interstellar.
One of the best ever.
It is one of the best. So we're going to put the soundtrack to Interstellar very loudly in Phil's ears, and he's not going to be able to hear anything. There we go. Got to
Yep.
start. Yep, he hears it.
I got it.
There we go. There we go. So, yeah, we'll kick things off with some more facts, though. Phil, why don't you start us off with a fact?
What?
You want to share a fact?
Hey.
You want
Okay. So this planet, I did some weird planet facts.
There you go.
And so this planet here in this
higher.
picture, y'all leave me alone.
Louder.
The planet is larger than Jupiter, and it is so close to its star that its day is only, or that its year is only 3 days.
Wow.
Every 3 days, it goes completely around its sun. In fact, it's 20 times closer to its star than the Earth is to its sun. During the daytime, temperatures reach 20. It gradually gets louder and louder.
It does. It's
So do you.
Temperatures reach 2,200 degrees.
Wow.
That's hot. We used to live in Georgia, and it would get pretty hot there.
It got close
Had
to that, I think.
Had to take showers 3 times a day. But this is a little bit hotter. But it's also so dark. It's one of the darkest planets. It's actually the color of like charcoal. And so it absorbs all that heat.
Wow.
That's pretty fascinating.
That's incredible.
Yeah. I'm going to come to myself here, give Phil a little break, let him listen to his
Give our
music.
ears a little
he has
break,
no idea
too.
what we're saying right now.
That was good. Well
Yeah,
done.
You did great. You look awesome. So I thought this was fascinating. I was reading about the spacesuits that astronauts wear and all the different equipment, how much that costs. To get a full spacesuit, all the equipment together is about $12 million. But
Wow.
that hardly seems like a lot when you weigh out the cost of not wearing one in space, right? Wow. So we can't survive in space without them, obviously, but I wanted to share a little bit about why. So studies show that if you were left a space shuttle, went out into space, I might turn this down just a little bit for Phil. No, we're good. You could survive for about 30 seconds, but that's only after if you went out of the ship with no air in your lungs. Because if you just tried to hold your breath for 30 seconds, if you already have air in your lungs would explode and you would die.
Wow.
Okay? But if you left the ship, didn't have any air in your lungs, they say you might last about 30 seconds. Now, obviously, what would probably kill you is a lack of oxygen, but they say that before that, your eardrums could burst so violently that it kills you, or your saliva in your mouth could begin to boil before you even lose consciousness. So, yeah, space has about 1 million ways to kill you. I don't know why we're still trying to go to this place. It's not welcoming. It's not inviting. Space is dangerous, so
It's not that bad
Don't
here.
go visit without a spacesuit.
Wow.
Phil, you
ready?
want to give us some
Oh,
facts?
yeah. Next one, weird planet we've got is an exoplanet. It's the one that's the bigger one than the Earth, and it actually is made of carbon that is pressurized so much and heated to 2,700 degrees that they believe that it's basically made of a diamond. It's basically a giant diamond.
That's awesome.
Do you
Well
think,
done.
Phil, do you love Tori enough to get her a diamond that big?
Taylor Swift?
Wow.
What'd you
Tori,
say?
you heard it here.
Taylor Swift.
No.
He would give Taylor Swift a diamond, but not Tori.
Yeah. Hey, just stare at me in silence if you're an idiot and you're a loser.
I started looking at you too.
There we go. Hey, we love Phil so much, but awesome. We'll continue with the facts here. I thought this was interesting. The largest volcano in the solar system is actually on our neighboring planet Mars. It's known as Olympus Mons. It's more than twice the size of Mount Everest, but it's also so much wider. It would be able to cover a portion of America larger than the size of Arizona. So you could literally plant that thing. It would cover the entire state of Arizona. That's pretty interesting, isn't it, Phil? Hey, I'm kind of jealous. The Interstellar soundtrack is great.
It's Hans Zimmer's best. You've never
Yeah,
heard it.
it's fantastic.
It's amazing.
Phil, do you have any more facts for us?
I got one more. Throw up the picture. This is the planet of your nightmares. This is
a really crazy name.
64,000.
Your
No,
nightmares.
excuse me, 64 light years away, which is like super far.
Wow.
Apparently,
How far?
not like the height of Buzz Lightyear. It's different than that. But it may look like just a gorgeous deep blue, like
Like your
the
eyes.
Avatar movie, you know,
Pandora.
where it's just, I think he said it. Yeah, Pandora. Is that what it is? So
This is
it looks just
Spotify.
amazing from here. But if you had the
iHeartRadio.
fortune to visit this planet, it's known as a gas giant, which is what we call Scott when he's not around. But he has
gas giant. Woo!
he has irate bowel syndrome. But it spins so furiously, and the winds blow 8,700 kilometers an hour, and it's made of this silicon that is heated so hot that it actually creates glass. So it's just this storm of glass just whipping around the planet at all times. It sounds terrifying.
Man, that'll rip your face off. Speaking of gassiness, Phil's been having gas the whole time. I guess he just can't hear it.
You can't
Is
hear
that
it?
right? Yeah. Whole time, no. One more thing, and some of you guys who are astronomers, right? Is that
That's
you
that's the right
study
one.
astronomy? Maybe you could fact check us on this. When we come with these weird facts, maybe some of these things are myth. I have no idea. But I read that you could fit 1 million Earths inside of the sun. That's how much.
Let's try that.
That's how much bigger the sun is. You could fit 1 million Earths inside of the sun. And what's so crazy about that, what helps us to realize how small we are, is like the sun relative to other stars is just kind of average sized. It's not even known to be like a super large star. So, but you could fit the Earth inside of the sun 1 million times. It's pretty crazy.
Wow. Well, so we want to say thank you to Phil. And so because he was a good sport, I have a special prize for him. So Phil, this is for you.
A Milky Way.
You get Milky Way? No, it's to say thank you for
I don't really
being
like
a good
Milky Ways.
Katie got this for you. She says, hey, Phil's been a great pastor and a great mentor to you. She wants you to have this.
No. It was from Sadie. And she would feel terrible if
you don't accept
down
this from
gift.
Sadie. Josh is definitely her favorite pastor.
Oh, I guess he heard. Oh, I think it started over.
Did you hear everything I just said?
Just now.
You can take it off.
Just stop.
Take it off, Phil. Hey, give Phil a round of applause from wherever you're watching. Interstellar is a great soundtrack, but as loud as I was playing,
but apparently
it into
Phil's
his
a
ears.
massive Taylor Swift fan.
Yeah,
That's
so
what
there
I
you
thought
go.
Taylor Swift.
I thought you said something
Taylor
about
Swift.
some of
was
those
that?
high notes was and it was just so, man.
Your eyes started to
earpiece.
twitch.
I know.
You're still talking a little loud. I think.
That was amazing. Oh, wow. So mine, it kind of ties into the rest of what we're going to talk about today. There's a man named Felix Baumgartner. Ever heard of him? Nope.
I've not.
Felix is the man.
That's a weird name.
Weird
We
name.
went to third grade together.
Did you now?
Yeah. Small kid,
I mean, I don't know.
one eye bigger than the other. Is that him?
I've never known anyone except Fix It Felix, named Felix. I
Felix
thought it was
from
a fake
Encanto.
Felix
name.
the cat?
I kind of thought it was a fake name.
Wow. Felix Baumgartner is the very first person ever to break the sound barrier with his body. And no, not like my irritable bowel syndrome, apparently.
I was about to say, that must have been a loud fart.
Bumgarner.
He could join Josh working at Farty City that you talked about a few weeks
Absolutely.
ago.
Hey, I actually had somebody text me at like midnight the other day, and all they said was "Farty City" with all these emojis. I said, "Dude, it's not an episode of Weird Faith if I don't talk about potty humor at least."
Yeah, absolutely. That's why he's a youth pastor.
Absolutely.
So Felix Baumgartner is also known for doing the Red Bull Stratus jump.
Oh, yeah.
He's the guy who got into a capsule that looked like the lunar lander, like the thing, the top of the rocket, and took a balloon that was the same size as 33 football fields. And filled it full of helium. It was 3,700 pounds, and he went up 24 miles above the Earth in the stratosphere, only to get out and jump.
Wow.
He is a daredevil. I have a picture of it here that I'll show you. It was absolutely incredible to see.
There we are.
I did this. This is ridiculous. This is what we need to see.
We went up in the sandwich bag balloon.
I should have named these like something a little differently. I have astronauts and Stratus. Maybe I should have just here. Let's see. There it is.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's him. You can see the curvature of the Earth. He's 24 miles above the Earth. You can see even the darkness of the vastness of space above him. So he goes up there and he steps out, and right before he jumps, he says the words, "Sometimes you have to go up to understand how small you are." And then he said the words, "I'm coming home," and he just stepped off. He just stepped off and he fell, free fall, for 9 straight minutes.
Man, that is
9 straight minutes, and he reached an upward speed of 843 miles per hour.
Have you ever fell out of the bed when you're sleeping?
Oh, so many
And
times.
it feels like this.
It felt like that.
9 straight minutes.
That's the dream that I have when it happens.
So what we're saying is we're
falling
downplaying the magnitude of what he did. So we think that our dreams are probably the same.
Yeah.
Like it's the same sensation.
I've done that.
We've done it multiple times, like twice.
I
this
did
week.
it before he did. So you said he broke the sound barrier. He was moving so fast.
He was 75 miles per hour faster than a sound barrier.
That's crazy.
I watched it live on YouTube when they did this. It was like 10 years ago now, and I'll never forget it because he's falling, and all of a sudden you hear this like little pop. I'll try to do it on the microphone, maybe, just like that noise, and that's him breaking the sound barrier, and they were able to hear it through telescopes pointing towards him.
I wonder what it would sound like when it's your body.
I don't think. I think I read that he didn't notice that he did it.
Wow.
Because you're moving so quick.
I feel like I just turn inside out or something.
Oh yeah,
I'm glad they had YouTube go out to record that.
Yeah.
That's cool. I can't even comprehend moving that fast, though. I feel like my body would just catch on fire, and all that would land is a skeleton.
Well, the crazy thing is, they said as he's falling for 9 straight minutes, he starts going into a spin.
Oh, no.
He starts spinning one way, then he starts spinning the other way. And because he's so high up, how do you start controlling yourself?
No.
You can't like twist and turn. And he said that's the only thing he did not account for in his training because you can't simulate that.
Right.
He had no way of simulating it. So he starts falling, and after 9 minutes, he finally pulls the chute. I think it was like 10 more minutes before he ever actually hit the ground. That's how high he was. 24 miles. That's 127,000 feet above the earth.
Isn't that crazy, though? Like, I wouldn't want to fall for 24 miles, right?
No.
But when you think about it in terms of, like, that's how far space is away from us.
Oh, it's crazy.
I don't know, what
Crazy.
is it? I don't know. It's Fairmont or something.
As fast as, I guess, Morgantown.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know. That's crazy.
Wow.
But it said that his suit that he had was like a specialized pressurized suit like the astronauts would have worn. I don't know if it cost $12 million like yours that you talked about.
Is that how much they cost?
Yeah, you had your headphones on.
Oh, yeah.
For all
Fun
the
fact,
equipment, all the gear.
Did you know? But they said he had to wear it because where he was, just even the stratosphere, it was negative 97 degrees Fahrenheit.
Ooh. Man.
Which is pretty cold.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm more impressed with this than landing on the moon. I think because he was basically in like a sandwich bag, right?
Yeah. In a capsule,
and
taken
then
up by a sandwich
fell
bag.
all the way down.
Yeah.
Like that's to me that takes more bravery.
Yeah, I mean, like the whole what was it, Apollo 13? They could have just done this and came back home, right? Isn't that what we're learning from this?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think they had parachutes, but you know.
What was it? It was something like if you drive to the moon, it would take 9 years or something like that. Like just 60.
I've seen how you
Yeah,
drive.
I think
it probably
it's
would.
60 or 70 miles per hour.
I do drive pretty slow.
If you've been in the car with Josh, it'd be like 3 days.
Yeah. Well, now that he's got a Jeep, when you drive a Jeep Wrangler, you got to go pretty slow.
Yeah, I'm moving a little bit slower now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, but just think about this for a second. Think about just the magnitude of the situation where he's 24 miles above the earth. And think about this. He says it again. Sometimes you have to go up to understand how small you are. Imagine staying on that ledge. He's just sitting there on the edge of this capsule. He's been floating for 8 hours just to get up to that point. And he looks down. What's so funny?
Well, can you imagine like getting up there and be like, nah. I'm not doing it. Like, what do? You gotta jump.
I think. I'm pretty
there's
sure
no
that's
way
the
to
only
do
way to
that.
do it. Like, I don't
Right.
know. I don't think they calculate for like what would happen. Because I think, if I remember correctly, the balloon eventually busted, and then that capsule had like a chute of its own, like what you see in the NASA stuff. But think about all that was below him. So 24 miles below his feet are 8 billion people. A whole planet full of people. Above him in every single direction is all the vastness of space with billions upon billions of galaxies that we haven't even charted, like nothing. Like, we've gotten to the moon. We just it wasn't that long ago. Like some of the satellites we launched back in the 60s were passing Pluto for the first time.
Wow.
Like, it's absolutely incredible to think about this. But just think about just how awestruck he would have been. He literally said, like, I saw like this below me and I was amazed by how small I felt in that moment. He felt very insignificant. And he felt like he was so minor in comparison to everything else around. Now, none of us have ever entered space. I don't know if you've ever signed up for Blue Origin. I
tried.
The dude from Dude Perfect got on there, but like none of us are getting on there anytime soon. I don't
Right.
think, unless we win the lottery or like CBC vacation sometime for the staff.
I'm not going. I don't
You
care
wouldn't do
to
it?
I think weird faith. I think we should make a trip.
That would be amazing.
Let's do it.
Weird
we'll,
faith.
We'll record up.
William
in space.
Shatner got to go.
Yeah, that's
like
crazy.
James Tiberius Kirk got to go where
right.
no one had ever
Yeah.
gone. Actually, many people had gone before,
Sure,
but whatever. He
Yeah.
came back.
Yeah.
But he came back. Even when he came back, he hugged Jeff Bezos and said, "You gave me the ride of a lifetime." Like, I would never have imagined. He's like 92 years old, I think. Shatner is
Man,
now.
that's crazy.
Which is insane. But like, we all have these moments in life where we just get lost in the majesty and the magnitude of the situation, and we feel very insignificant. For myself, I was in South Africa in 2010 and doing mission work with some doctors going around the Zulu lands, doing some missionary work. And they gave us opportunity to go out into the Shishlui Mfolozi National Park, which is a game reserve that's 370 square miles, so pretty big. And it's all fenced in, but it's just open territory for animals.
Wow.
So lions, elephants, rhinoceros, all those animals. Dinosaurs, probably. That's probably where they are. I don't know.
It's like Jurassic Park.
like
but without
Jurassic-
the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where they're headed. But so the cool thing was we did a daytime safari, which was amazing. But if you ever seen like the image, it's kind of like Jurassic Park, where you're like in this open canopy truck where like any predator can just jump in and kill you. Or you're doing the soundtracks are just in your head now.
Yeah.
That's the next podcast. We talk about dinosaurs. But the nighttime safari was even better. So everything we did during the day, we did at night. But the nighttime safari, you have this open truck, and you have a spotlight in the front corner, a spotlight in the back corner, and you just scan the African plains for eyes to reflect back and look at you. And whenever you see the eyes look at you, you yell, stop, you try to figure out what it was, which is also very terrifying, right? But at one point, the amazing thing was, what's that?
I don't think I'd want to stop.
I don't want to stop. Just keep going.
Are you yelling stop to the animal?
Yeah, stop.
Stay there.
Don't do it.
Stay, cat, stay. But we got to the halfway point, and the guy's like, I want you to get out of the truck, which I really didn't want to do because I don't know. He said he looked around real quick, and he had a little pistol on him. Like, what's that going to do to an elephant? And, excuse me, we get out of the truck. He turns off all the spotlights, all the headlights, and it was pitch black.
Wow.
Like just, I could barely see my hand in front of my own face. And then he looked up and you just see somebody's phones. Is that your phone?
We almost made it through.
It's
vibrating, yes.
It's a cat purring. Just
It's the
think of it.
cat. Yeah. It's all good. We're still, this is how we do it. It's okay. But we turn off all the lights. You can't see our own hand, but we look up and we just see billions of stars, like more stars than I've ever seen. I've seen images of people like where you're like, hey, I could see the Milky Way. I legit could see like the parts of the Milky Way that I never would have seen because there's no light pollution.
Right.
There's no headlights on this car. There's no spotlights. There's no lights anywhere because it's 370 square miles of just nothing.
Wow.
Yeah,
and it was absolutely incredible. I remember just sitting there, and I actually became very emotionally overwhelmed because of just how amazing it was and how vast it was. But also, I'm not sure if you guys know this, but if you're in the southern hemisphere, you'll see different constellations than you see where we live.
Okay.
Like ours change during the seasons.
I didn't know that.
The Big and Little Dipper will rotate depending on the season, but the southern hemisphere has different constellations sometimes, and one of them is called the Southern Cross. And I'll try to get this up here for you all to see as well.
I thought you were going to say you saw Mufasa.
I saw Mufasa. It said, my son.
Remember who you are.
Remember who you are. Yeah. And so we see the Southern Cross. So you can kind of make out the 4 points of that cross. Okay. So imagine the vastness of space, and that's what you look up and you're having this moment, and that's what you see.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm sitting there I'm thinking about the majesty and magnitude of God, the greatness of God, and it's almost like he put his artist thumbprint on there.
Yeah. Right.
Like to show us that he's in control of it. And then think about in that moment, all that is still in the palm of his hands. Like I was absolutely just awestruck in that moment. And so when I think about this, and I think about all the things that, we all have these moments, we feel very insignificant.
Yeah.
Right? You feel very small.
Every day.
Every day. Well, I was going to ask you, do you have moments like that where you just felt like you got lost in the wonder and you just felt insignificant? Maybe it was like watching your child born. I admit that was kind of gross, but it's still kind of glorious at the same time.
We're above the curtain.
Okay. My kid looked like Thanos when he came out. Like, dude, you're purple and wrinkly.
Which one?
Snap. Both of them.
So in 2010,
yeah,
I was on a mission trip in
South
Africa.
You were there too.
Those were his eyes that you saw.
Yeah. I heard you say
he was in a bush somewhere.
And I was like, what happened? Come on, dude. No, but I've had experiences similar to that. Tori and I drove, before we had kids and stuff, drove through the night from Pennsylvania to Missouri. And there are some places that are probably just as remote as that
out in the Midwest?
Yeah.
There's
just
nothing for miles.
Lions. Yeah, and it was flat as could be.
It's just rednecks running around.
It was clear as day. Or, like as far as there was no clouds in the sky. And man, it was like you were in space. It wasn't even that you were looking at it. It's like you could touch it. Yeah, it was crazy.
Wow. Yeah, anytime I can see the stars like that, I'm jealous. I need to find a time in my life to go somewhere where there's so little light pollution. I want to see it like that, but I feel like I've been able to see a lot of stars at Cowan, at camp, and places like that. But I think the biggest one for me, and this is one that a lot of people say, but the Grand Canyon. Like I always saw pictures of the Grand Canyon, but it blew me away the first time I saw it. Everybody says pictures of things don't do it justice. But wow, if you're standing in front of the Grand Canyon, it is just breathtaking. Yeah. Just how vast it is too, and how deep and how wide, kind of like God's love for us.
Hey.
Amen. Yeah.
Deep and wide.
Niagara Falls was another one too.
Yeah.
Seeing it for the first time, the wind was coming off it so much when Tori and I were there. Like you could jump and it would push you back.
Yeah,
wow, it's crazy.
That's what I was watching the Niagara episode of The Office last night where Jim and Pam get married. Spoiler. And there's I know that was like he said that was like plan C,
Yeah, right.
but like the whole idea of getting married on that boat made of mist, like that would have been kind of awful.
Wet.
It's sopping wet.
Yeah.
You get blown over.
Can't hear like
You
I
can't
couldn't
hear your vows. So
Yeah,
like
right.
that's why you have to renew your vows like immediately after that.
Right, right.
I guess if you love somebody that much, it doesn't really bother you.
Aw.
What's that like?
Wow. Yeah, but when you think about just those moments, because we do feel insignificant, and in most regards, we are insignificant. Like we are just one of 8 billion people in the world today. We just crossed that threshold like recently. But that's not counting the billions of people that have come before us already. And think about like there's that many people in the world. There's all the vastness of space. We're just one planet of the ones. I still say 9 in our solar system. I still count Pluto.
Shout out Pluto.
Pluto matters. And I still you just feel small. And then you read scripture like in Job 38 when God says to Job, "Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth?"
Wow.
Tell me if you understand. Who marked off its dimensions? Surely you know. Who stretched a measuring line across it? On what were its footing set? Who laid its cornerstone while the morning stars sang together and the angels shouted for joy? He's like, where were you when I created the entire world?
Yeah.
It's just Job is in the middle of throwing like a temper tantrum right in that moment. He's obviously gone through a lot of things in life. And God's like, who are you?
I love it when God gets a little feisty.
Yeah, like
Sarcastic.
if you don't read scripture thinking that God has humor,
right.
you're missing out. Like I look at that, I'm like, man, I'm nothing like compared to this. But like we are insignificant. I think that's absolutely true. But there is a beautiful passage though in Psalm chapter 8, written by by King David. If you don't know who King David is, he was a king of Israel. And he was known as a man after God's own heart, but don't let that fool you because he had a lot of problems. Yeah. The dude had a lot of baggage. He caused a lot of baggage in other people's lives. He was kind of messed up, but still he walked with God. And in one moment of his life, wrote these words. He says, Lord, our Lord, how majestic is your name in all the earth. You set your glory in the heavens. Through the praise of children and infants, you have established a stronghold against your enemies to silence the foe and the avenger. When I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars that you have set in place, what is mankind that you are mindful of them? Human beings that you care for them. You have made them a little lower than the angels, and you crowned them with glory and honor. And you've made them rulers over the works of your hands, and put everything under their feet. All the flocks and the herds and the animals of the wild, the birds in the sky, the fish of the sea, all that swim in the paths of the seas. Lord, our Lord, how majestic is your name in all the earths. So David considers the glory of God. He sees the glory of the heavens. He sees the stars, the moons, like we've just talked about. I just said moons. Maybe he saw more than one. I don't know.
Moons of
plenty of
Andor.
moons.
It may have been a balloon flying over Israel. Like, I don't know. Like, there goes Balloon Boy or the Chinese telescope, whatever it is. Right. Real quick, I did see recently where, because it's in the news, if you don't know, we record these a week early. So this is February 7th, and this whole thing's just been shot down, right? Like 2 days ago.
Right, yeah. Hopefully people are still here for the Wednesday that this launched. It's not like a Wall-E situation where we're just
I'm
playing.
hoping it's like a Google.
If we still don't know, don't panic because Phil's saying this. I'm sure it's nothing.
I hope it's like a Google Earth thing
Sure.
where we have a lot of people going like this. Hi, Mom. Right? But I read recently where like during World War I or World War II, I think it was one of the military bases over in Hawaii, they were concerned about same kind of things, balloons bringing like cameras and telescopes over. And so they thought they saw one, so they started shooting like anti-aircraft guns at it. And it wasn't a balloon. It was actually the closest that Venus has been in a long time. So they actually were just seeing Venus
my goodness.
up in the sky, and they thought
they
it
hit
was...
it?
Huh?
Did they hit
They
it?
hit it. That's why it has a massive volcano now. Or no, that was Mars.
I like to think that it's like even more insignificant than we could imagine. Like it actually was just like a giant balloon somebody had for some extravagant birthday party, and it like got loose or something.
Gender reveal gone
and
wrong.
The entire nation is freaking out about this thing.
But we think about like going back to Psalm 8 with David, he sees all these things, and the first question he asks is, "Who am I?"
Yeah.
Right. That's when we think about all the things we talked about, we think, "Who am I?" But he didn't stop at his insignificance. He just didn't think, "Oh, I'm just woe is me, I'm insignificant. No one cares about me." The next part he says, "Who am I that you care for us? Who am I that you love us? Who am I that you give life to us? That you give us value and honor?" And that's the experience that David felt that blew him away. It was not just that he was insignificant, but even when in his insignificance, he had intrinsic value.
Yeah.
He communicates this idea that God placed humanity created in his image above every other thing in creation, yet still lowlier than the heavenly beings, which I think is awesome language, right? He's like, you've given us glory, you've given us honor, you've given us dominion over the animals, over the fish of the sea. So that's why I should have yelled out in that safari. I had dominion over you, right? And as I get my face ripped off. But think about that, for example, for a second. Like when we lose sight of our significance, we think, yeah, I'm insignificant. Yeah, but you're still created in God's image. That means you're set apart above all of creation. As beautiful as Mount Everest, as the Grand Canyon, all those different things in the universe, you are still more beautiful to what?
Me?
Yeah, even you.
Why are you looking at Phil the whole time, man?
I was trying to look
right across
like
the table
between you all. No, but like you're still considered more wonderful and more beloved to God than those things. Right? So never doubt your significance. Never doubt the value that you have. So much so that God sent Jesus to die for you. That's how much you are worth to God. He sent Jesus for you. I mean, how do you guys think about that? How do you see people losing sight of that value and honor today?
Well, that's another verse talks about how we're fearfully and wonderfully made.
Oh, yeah.
And we can look at things like the Grand Canyon. It's beautiful and amazing and makes you feel small, but it's a big hole in the ground, right?
Yeah.
So, and not to downplay it, but think about all the intricacies that go into the human body.
Right.
And our consciousness. That
I heard
doesn't
from a
make
good
sense.
source, I think it was on the Weird Faith podcast, that there's like a billions of miles worth of veins in your body.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. But think about how
Still haven't decided if that's.
well,
a
you
myth
talked
or not.
about birth and like how this reproduction, and then how this thing that is you one of your daughters is an infant still. I mean,
Yeah.
is going to be an adult at some
Makes
point,
no
and
sense.
it just continued to grow. I saw just a video on YouTube one time, and it showed a person's face. And then it zoomed out and zoomed out and zoomed. Then you could see all the country, and it zoomed out further. And you could see the whole Earth, and it zoomed out further. And then it was the Milky Way.
Yeah.
And then it just went for and you could just zoom out infinitely. But then, just as fast, it would zoom back in and go past that face into the flower that's next to that person, then into the cells and into the mitochondria and all the little molecules, and it's infinite in both directions.
I think it's pronounced midichlorians.
Okay, yeah, right. That's the force, right?
That's the word.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. But it's amazing, as big as everything is. It's just infinitely, like they talk about, the ocean is just as unexplored as space or something like that.
The bottom of the ocean. We know more about the surface of the moon, I think.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
as weird as this sounds, we are the crown jewels of God's creation, and He made us in His image. And yes, there is so much more, but God made humankind special.
Yeah.
And like you said, the major act of that difference is that He came and died for us and the sins that we.
Yeah, He took on the form of us to
Yeah.
die for us. He didn't take on the form of any other animal to die for us, like because we had the whole sacrificial system. He came in the person of us, right? To be like us.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like we talked about those moments when you're under the stars or looking at the Grand Canyon or something. I think you have to pair that feeling. I love thinking about how insignificant I am because it reminds me how big God is. So like we talked about earlier, I think you had your headphones on, how the sun, you could fit like 1 million Earths within the sun. But the sun isn't even that big of a star compared to other stars. And then like it's just crazy to think the universe is just expanding and expanding, and like we're just like this tiny little speck of dust. But I think you have to pair that knowledge with the truth that God loves us. And while God is transcendent, beyond time, beyond space, bigger than all of these things, while He can breathe out galaxies and planets and the sun, the Bible tells us the truth is God cares about us too. And if He can clothe the flowers in the field and feeds the birds, how much more does He love us? So we have to remember, while God is bigger than all things, God is still also like personable and close and with us in the darkest, most lonely moments of our lives. So I think people just forget, we need to remember how insignificant we are, but also how loved we are at the same time. I'm so much smaller than all these things that have, like you said, God put His thumbprint on all these beautiful things. but God sees so much value and worth in me. Like created me in His image, and He loves me and wants best for me, and wants to have a relationship with me. Like that's honestly, if we could wrap our minds around that, that's more mind blowing than the size of the sun.
Oh yeah.
Or
right.
how vast the Grand Canyon is. That God would love us that much.
I love Ephesians chapter 2 when we see the famous verses of "For by grace you've been saved through faith. This is not of your undoing, but an act of God, a grace of God." It goes on to verse 10. It says, "For you are God's handiwork, craftsmanship." The message, I think Eugene Peterson had it perfectly. He says, "You are God's masterpiece."
Yeah.
Like, so no matter how insignificant you, no matter. Fun fact: when Brandon Reinhardt suggested this, it's exactly what he said. When I'm like, "Here's what I could do with it," he's like, "Chef's kiss." He sent back the emoji. So we're all bringing it all back full circle.
That's funny.
So whenever you doubt that, whenever you just get kind of lost in that, like, I'm just insignificant.
Right.
Yeah, you are.
Right.
But also remember, you right now are still considered a masterpiece.
Wow.
You're not even a finished product yet.
Right.
But you are still a masterpiece. So what we want you to remember today, just remember that even though you are significant, you are a loved and valued treasure, a masterpiece. I would say a masterpiece in progress. How about that?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
By what God is doing. You are God's handiwork right here and now. I also want to encourage you. It's been a song I've been thinking about the last few days. I even shared it with Josh last night. Go check out the song "Blown Away" by Hillsong United and get lost in the wonder as you are blown away by the love of Jesus. As you think about all that He's made, but then just focus on the cross and be more blown away by that than anything else. What God has done. So that's all I have for you all today.
Yeah.
If you all, what you have.
Cool. Yeah, I just want to remind you guys, like this, subscribe, share this out, maybe on Facebook or however you want to do that. Maybe just copy it and say, hey, I'm going to send this to one person who might need to hear this and who can become a weirdo to join us.
Yeah,
with
that's
the Word
our
Faith
goal
podcast.
here, is to make this truly approachable for anybody, whether they have a faith background or not.
Yeah,
absolutely.
To be drawn into the beauty of this thing called our walk with God and our relationship.
We have one more shout out that we almost forgot. Your predecessor, David Holm.
Yeah.
He shared this, our podcast, in the West Virginia Baptist newsletter.
Yeah.
So thank you, David. We love you for that.
David, you're our favorite. We love you so much.
Yeah.
So one thing I did want to add too is, we talked about this man, Felix Baumgartner.
Yeah.
Went up in this balloon, spent, I'm sure, millions of dollars to
I
create
don't know. Maybe
this.
Red Bull spent millions of dollars.
Right, yeah.
Gave him wings.
And just to
They did. It was out of this world.
just so that he could feel small,
Yeah.
And all I have to do is stand next to you.
Yeah.
And I know I'm be 5'6" 3/4 your whole life, and you don't even need to go up into space and drop 24 miles from the Earth. So, hey, we love you guys so much. Hey, please continue the conversation. We want to talk to you here on Instagram. We have posts on Facebook too that we'll drop, and in YouTube in the comments, all those different things. And we can't wait to continue the conversation with you as we move.
Josh will be hosting next time. So
Yeah, so
Give him some
excited. So
ideas.
make sure you join us. But until then, stay weird because normal isn't working. See you guys later.